John a 4-set book, and he ordered it for me. And it's for children. John went on the website and saw it. It's Enjoy Your Cells, Germ Zappers, Have a Nice DNA, and Gene Machine. So it's a 4-set, and I'm going to be getting it soon, right, John?
Yes, next week they said.
Okay. So that's something that we could
like to see that.
And I'll tell you, I have, we have funding for textbooks is there. I mean, it's a limited amount, but it would be enough. And as we're talking here, because what that tends to happen is people want to. So this is the problem. Okay, let's go ahead and do this piece, but there's some other levels too. So I guess what I'm saying is I would love to have maybe some consultation about what I could buy textbooks, but what to buy is then the question. And how can I spread that across all grade levels? So, or at least our upper grades, and then shift down if we have to, or whatever the case may be. So it becomes a difficult. Oh, we need science books, so I'm just going to find. I'm familiar with Prentice Hall. I'm just going to find a publisher that I know, and I'm going to order. Is that the best thing? I'm not sure. So your input around that, would be fantastic. I mean, that would be fantastic. Yes.
I think to follow up on what we've just been talking about, it seems to me that literacy has to have content, and so the issue is vocabulary. Whether it be science vocabulary or other vocabulary is certainly appropriate, but also presentations, oral presentations, written presentations. I mean, we're talking about content for literacy.
Right.
So it would seem to me that we've got to integrate content,
Absolutely.
whether it be science or social studies or whatever, into your literacy piece.
So this is the first district where I've worked. I'm sorry, Mr. Stein. I'll just say quickly that there was not a set curriculum that we had to use these particular books or choose between one or two. So we have a lot of flexibility about what we can choose. Some things have been sent to us this year. Again, they changed the way we're doing literacy, but they provided, they as in the district have provided us nonfiction, a lot of nonfiction text. But again, it's not necessarily geared towards, but it's not coming from a place that people are all knowing exactly what to choose often.
I'm going to just interject, if I can, Beverly, I know not everyone can stay at 11:30, so I'm wondering if we can have the panel presentations and then get into the Q&A and discussion. Does that work for folks? Okay. So do you have anything else you want to put forward there, Principal Privet?
No, I think that's
okay.
Good.
Mr. Stanley, you want to add anything particularly about the science standards of learning? And
well, I want to come back to this gentleman. I can't remember your name.
Yeah.
And Ms. Privet said that she would like to see, maybe bringing the materials at the higher level. I'd like to see it start at the beginning, the very preschool, from the very beginning. Because it's just like learning something. It's just you have to start from the beginning where you can grasp it and get the real enjoyment of it. So I would start from the pre-K level instead of starting at the upper level and bring it up.
That's what Harold is doing.
I think
yes, and Ed. Ed has been working in the pre-K program as well.
I think that would be great. And
where are we going to go in the pre-K? It's not a school now, is it? You're not going to talk about going to nursery schools.
No, we have pre-K in our school.
Oh, in the school, the one that's in the school.
Actually, we have four-year-olds. You probably could do science with 4-year-olds.
Yes.
Because I know I had an accelerated group of second graders one year, and I taught them geometry. So they can learn.
Well, that's the age when they're like a sieve.
Yeah, they're like a sponge.
Yeah.
I taught them anything that came to mind. I tried it. They just took off and ran with it. And they learn at that age. Mm-hmm. That's when they're learning the most.
Right.
So that's when you got to hit it. Mm-hmm. And once you get them going, it's just like riding a bicycle. They'll keep going.
Do you think part of that simply because at that yet tender age, they really are an empty vessel?
And they're so gullible.
They the
sky is falling. Where do I get out the way? They can teach you anything. I love the second grade when I taught it.
One of the trends that we've noticed is that in some schools, they're kind of squeezing ReSET out because of the emphasis on the science or the standards of learning, mostly for math and literacy. But in the schools, we're also adding schools, so we have had a huge net increase in the number of schools we're in, from about 8 to 30 in the last few years. But some schools are saying we really have to get our test scores up. In one of the schools we've been in, they just stopped responding to me, and it's one of the DC STEM Catalyst schools. So I was disappointed in that, but I did notice when the test scores came out this past spring, they did not do very well. So I'm sure that principal is like focusing on getting those test scores up. The science standards of learning are tested in the 5th grade in DC public schools. I'm not sure about Virginia and Maryland, but one of the things is how can ReSET help the kids and help the teachers with the standards of learning, so that we are not diverting attention from that priority of the test scores. So I'm going to ask Mike Goldstein to talk a little bit about the way that he's approached the development of his program for Eaton Elementary here in Northwest.
Yeah, I've actually been a little bit surprised at the math that they don't know. I have grandchildren in the 8th, 6th, and 2nd grades right now. So last year I had a 5th grader, which is what I was teaching, and I was able to, kind of test some things out to say, do you know these things? And I found that very simple algebra, which supposedly they know, simple equation, at least maybe I shouldn't even say algebra as much as just relations, it doesn't sink in easily. And I think there's room for us to take our science, especially the physical sciences, and include some math teaching as part of it, as a way of explaining the concept. And I think that's, again, having to do it type of thing rather than abstract, maybe a vehicle for the students to assimilate the math as well as the science. In general, I think the idea that the science and being hands-on, I just find when I pass out materials, batteries, light bulbs, kind of thing, talk about hooking them up, that these kids just get overly enthusiastic, and after 5 minutes I've got to calm them down to go on to the next point, because they're having so much fun trying to build these circuits. Yeah, and I think that's a key word, except for the fact that you've got to contain them. In Northwest, of course, we haven't had the discipline problems that we hear described from some of the Southeast schools. But in talking to one of the teachers at Eaton, he said whenever a different person comes in to teach, the students will behave better. It may be the unknown factor of what they're getting themselves into, but whatever it is, they'll behave better. And he pointed out, he said, there are some kids in this class at Eaton that used to be in the bad sections of town that have come over here, and they just, they've assimilated this environment where the children listen.
John?
Wayne?
Did you want to?
Wayne, you want to describe how you developed your curriculum?
Okay. If you will excuse me, I'm going to refer to my notes, partly because there are things I don't want to miss. And for me, it goes back to what I told you initially, my philosophy of K-12 education, which really is my philosophy for education all the way up. It's just that there are a lot of roadblocks that you have to overcome. And when I go and think and I'm doing ReSET work, as soon as I know the name of a teacher that I probably will work with, I begin by doing a friendly email of introduction and try to attach an abbreviated vita limited to those things which show my involvement in K-12 education. And at the same time, because it's not only what I can bring to it, but I think what can the teacher bring to it and the district, I ask for a copy of the school's curriculum, scope, and sequence forms, and also the associated science standards.